so, you know, we just sort of, I mean, we kept in touch, but it was not practical really to sort of do it, I don't think. But I would have gone anyway if he'd said, you know. So it just didn't work out. We were doing other things. I was raising children and all that sort of thing. And I'm a firm believer that things happen when they're supposed to happen. You know, we tried to do something together. 2019 we were supposed to go, and then this thing happened. You know, and so it was like, you know, we put it off, and then when it sort of opened up, and you know, there were all these restrictions, because I did work on projects with those restrictions, and he was just like, we can't do what we do like that, 6 feet away, this bubble, that bubble. It's like, it's a really collaborative experience, and you know, we just wouldn't have been able to make it. So,
well, when the conversations first started, how did he approach you for Hard Truths, and how specifically did he describe Nancy to you in a way that you thought, okay, this could be interesting?
Okay, Mike Lee approaches all of the actors that he works with in the same way. And what it is, verbatim, is, I'm doing a film, I'd like you to be in it, I don't know what it's about, I don't know what you'll be doing in it, but we're gonna have a good time. And you go, yeah, sure. Because you just, you know, anybody that's worked with him or knows the process or has an idea about what that process is like, yeah, I'm in.
And that process is what? It's not like, oh, here's a script?
No, there's no script.
Right.
There's no notion. Basically, you create a character from scratch. So the first day of rehearsals looks like a rehearsal room with Mike in it and myself in it, or any other actor, and we work in isolation, and he will say to you, before you come in, I want you to bring in a list of people that you know, real people. You don't have to know them terribly well. It might be a woman that works at a bakery that you go to, and there's just something about her that you can describe, something that's intriguing or boring or whatever. They can't be related to you. And so the process starts with you just describing these people in as much detail as you can. And you go through the list, and then eventually he starts crossing names off of the list until you arrive at about anything from 3 to 5 people. And then you go through this process of merging those characters together until you have one. So it's movement, it's describing, talking about that person. And then at that stage, he'll say, okay, what was their first memory? And so you start building in finite detail this person.
Their backgrounds.
Everything.
Wow.
I mean, everything.
How long does that take?
Well, for this film, it took about 6 weeks to talk her into existence. And in that stage, you also have another stage. So the woman, the fantastic Michelle Austin, who plays Chantal, would have turned up in the rehearsal. Yes! Extraordinary. So she would turn up one day and he'd say, okay, you're going to play sisters. You're 3 years older than her, so I'm going to ask you to describe what it was like when she came home from the hospital. And she would have to leave the room unless it was something that her sister had told her. So she would leave the room, and I would sit down there and say, okay, when she came home, Mum was different, she didn't want to play with me anymore, da 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 da. And so then we start building a parallel history, you know, and we create our families. We, you know, the whole family tree, grandparents, aunts, uncles, you know, describe them in details. We decide where we grew up in London. We have to go on a field trip to find the house that they grew up in. And then we find the school and figure out how they got to school. Did they take the bus? Is the bus route still the same as it was back in 1977?
Unbelievable. Wow. Wow.
You know, so it's detailed. But all this work, all this detailed work is in preparation for when you actually start improvising. Then you, and it's also because you're building a three-dimensional character. You're not, you know, it's not just put on a costume and a wig and have a limp. And then there she is. It's like from the inside out.
But it's such a fascinating process. So, like, was this any different from when you worked on Secrets and Lies 20 years ago?
No. I mean, the only thing that changed is when I did Secrets and Lies, it was like the maximum that you could merge the people was 3 characters. But now I think he's figured another way, you know, some kind of alchemy to enable you to be able to merge the 5.
So as you're sort of like peeling back the onion, so to speak, and finding Pansy, like when did you finally get to a point where like you started to realize who she is? Right.
So any decision that you can make for yourself as a person, you can make for your character. Any decision that is outside of that, Mike makes. So when you start talking about school, and she was really good at math, and she loved math, and she got on with the teacher, and blah, 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 and she has this test, and it's the test that's going to get her into a grammar school or not, and she sits the test. Mike decides that she fails the test. When there's that guy that she really likes, that she thinks, you know, is kind of interested in her, Mike decides that he goes out with her friend. You know, so it's like every disappointment, heartbreak, success or failure, he decides. So, so while you're doing it, you start going, okay, this life isn't looking too good. There's been some bumps in this road.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, big time, some big bumps. So you start to get a sense of that.
Well, after all the scripted work that you've done in between Secrets and Lies and the Hard Truths, how like exhilarating, how fun was it, how liberating was it to like create this character, to be able to improvise in such a way with every one of your cast members in the same way?
I mean, it's magical.
Yeah.
It's because you're a child again. You imagine, you sit down and go, oh yeah, remember Uncle Willie? And Michelle would say, yeah. You know, he was always talking about losing weight because he had a big belly, but he'd always be the first one to the dinner party and the last one to leave. And we'd just go back and forth creating these people and, you know, creating this world that they lived in.
You know, like when you